millions of liters of contaminated water into the Pacific, left over from the nuclear disaster at the Fukushima power plant. Environmental groups, fishermen, and some governments are raising the alarm on its effects on wildlife in the area. Johanna Wagstaff is here now. And Johanna, there's even concern here in Canada on the West Coast. So what can you tell us?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Janella, this announcement didn't come as a surprise to scientists. The decision about what to do with all of that accumulating stored water in the tanks in Fukushima has been long speculated, but long delayed as criticism mounts. So the decision today wasn't unexpected. And here on the West Coast, scientists were watching closely because we've not only seen debris wash up on our shores from the earthquake and tsunami, but also trace amounts of radiation in the element cesium. I spoke to marine chemist Jay Cullen from the University of Victoria today, and the big picture is we just don't have enough information. Take a listen.
We lack fundamental information about the amounts and the specifics of the radioisotopes themselves that still exist in the wastewater. So there have been efforts to clean the wastewater, which works well for certain isotopes and less well for others. And given the volumes of water that exist on the site, having that basic information, what's there, what are the risks to marine life and human consumers of seafood related to those isotopes, we can't really estimate the risk to the environment or public health without knowing what's exactly is in the tanks.
And Jay mentioned there has been efforts, international collaboration to both clean and monitor, but I also spoke to Ken Buesler, who actually led the monitoring program here on the West Coast. And he said it's not just the cesium that we detected, it's tritium, which Japanese officials say they can't take out of the water, but they will be filtered to, the other chemicals will be filtered to well below international standard levels. However, we don't know everything that's in the tank. We don't know how those chemicals will change as they cross the Pacific. And as both Jay and Ken said, we don't know how this will accumulate in marine life. And Janella, there has been a bit of mistrust with Japanese officials in how transparent they've been as far as what is in those tanks. So that's a big part of the criticism today.
Okay, and it's not just environmental concern. There's also big concern about the economic impact on the Japanese fishing industry after this.
Yes, definitely. A Japanese government said they will work with the fishing and tourism industry, but I think this release comes after years of trying to convince the Japanese public and consumers around the world that Fukushima fish is safe to eat, and this will be a hit, even if it is a perceived hit. Take a listen to a scientist who studies the impact on Fukushima communities when it comes to this announcement.
The issue, as I see it, is just as much so, if not more, about issues of pride and identity and how important the sort of symbolic recovery of fisheries has been. Rebuilding these fishing ports, rebuilding the boats, getting the ports open again, getting the fish markets open again. All of that has given people a sort of sense of purpose and pride and recovery. And a lot of consideration, I think, needs to be given to how you can handle the releases of treated water in a way that doesn't jeopardize what's been achieved so far.
So a lot of concern, again, on both sides of the Pacific, but everyone I talked to today said we do have 2 years before that slow release of water that will take decades before it's completely emptied. So scientists around the world are hoping that within those 2 years, we can come up with better monitoring systems, better global agreements, better communication, both from the Japanese government and scientific methods that hopefully will continue to improve in those 2 years. So, Janella, I will definitely be watching this, and I'll keep you posted.
All right, and the clock is ticking on that. CBC's Johanna Wagstaff in Vancouver. Thanks.